annual conference here in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. Please rise if you are able for the presentation of colors presented by the University Police Service Southern Command Honor Guard, and remain standing for the singing of the national anthem performed by 13-year-old Miss Chloe Jones.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets ran glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, everyone. You may be seated. Please welcome this morning's MC to the stage, the Honorable E. Junior Maldonado, Hudson County, New Jersey Clerk and NALEO President.
Thank you, everyone. Good morning. Come on, come on, come on. Let me hear you. Good morning. Welcome to Las Vegas. Let's give one more round of applause for the University Police Services Southern Command Honor and to Miss Chloe Jones for her beautiful rendition of the national anthem. That was some Whitney Houston stuff there, believe me. That was great. Thank you, Chloe. It's truly an honor to welcome you to this fabulous city, Las Vegas, Nevada, and to our annual conference. I am pleased to officially call to order the 41st Annual Conference. Because of your enthusiasm to be here, to network with other Latino leaders and to hear from distinguished speakers around the issues affecting our society. Today, for the second year in a row, the NALEO Annual Conference has sold out. Thank you. As the country prepares for the presidential election this November, it is essential for Latino policymakers to access information about the current political landscape, especially in states like Nevada, where Latino voters will be especially impactful on the outcome. It is also vital that we seize the opportunity to discuss topics that concern our constituents, no matter how difficult they may be. The best place to do this is here at the NALEO Annual Conference. This year, our conference will address some of the challenges the nation is currently facing, including the state of world affairs and the impact on Latinos, the humanitarian crisis at the border, housing development, human trafficking, the economy, and much, much more. Thank you. To be able to come together and exchange ideas and share best practices around these issues while leveraging the NALEO network to help guide our policymaking and assisting our constituents makes this event distinct, distinguished, and necessary. As you start these discussions, keep in mind the NALEO standard. As a national organization with a constituency diverse in political perspective, national origin, gender, and geography, NALEO takes special pride in its ability to convene forums for dynamic interaction and discussion in a manner that promotes civility and public discourse. I implore you to all honor the standard during the conference. Thank you. I also would like to recognize our conference's presenting sponsors, State Farm and Wells Fargo. Let's hear it for them. Thank you for your support and helping us make this event a success. In the same spirit, please welcome Mr. Kenneth Whitehair, Vice President of Agency Sales in Western Market Area for State Farm, to make brief remarks.
Buenos días y bienvenidos. Muchas gracias, Junior. A pleasure. Welcome, NALEO family, to fabulous Las Vegas. My family and I have called Vegas home for almost 15 years, and it truly does feel like home. It's a wonderful city, but we love our visitors. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for being here this week, and thank you, NALEO, for honoring our city with your presence. I hope you do get to experience everything that our wonderful city has to offer during your free time and downtime. There truly is a one-of-a-kind city. On behalf of over 19,400 State Farm agents and more than 67,000 employees across the country, we are thrilled to welcome you in the NALEO Conference to Las Vegas. Over the next few days, you will have the opportunity to engage in insightful discussion and foster meaningful relationships through thought-provoking workshops that will inform and inspire you. State Farm is proud and thankful for our 25-year relationship with the NALEO Education Fund. We strongly support NALEO leadership, professional development, and networking opportunities for Latino and Latina officials. Through policy institutes on emergency preparedness, tackling the housing crisis, education governance, and professional development training for newly elected officials, we aim to empower Latino leaders to make lasting impact in their communities. For over 100 years, State Farm has been dedicated to making positive differences in the communities in which we live and work. Our agents and employees are committed to empowering individuals to be good neighbors, protecting what matters most, and building more resilient futures for themselves and others. Everything we do at State Farm is focused on our purpose of building stronger neighborhoods together. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. It's more than just a slogan. State Farm is dedicated to being there for our customers and communities, ready to provide unwavering assistance and support during times of disaster and when they need us the most. We offer guidance with insurance needs, financial planning, and support community recovery efforts. At State Farm, we don't wait and stand by and wait for the next natural disaster to strike before we act. We help customers reduce and prevent losses through preparedness and proactive mitigation. It's one of the reasons State Farm is a proud sponsor of the Emergency Preparedness Workshop and the NALEO Community Service Project during the conference. This year, every one of you will have an opportunity to create heat mitigation kits stocked with self-care essential items and back-to-school supply kits. The heat mitigation and back-to-school kits will benefit the Just One Project, the Clark County School District's Family Support Center, and other individuals and families who receive food assistance from the Just One Project in Las Vegas. So we invite you to join us. You may see Jake or two at the booth, but we invite you to visit us at the State Farm Service Project booth this week and join us in creating kits for our community. Together, we can all be there like good neighbors, making a difference in our communities. Once again, welcome to the 2024 NALEO Conference. We hope you make the most of the conference, engage in valuable discussions, build meaningful relationships, and leave with renewed energy and determination to affect positive change. Thank you, and let's make this conference an outstanding, resounding success. Have a great day.
Thank you, Mr. Whitehair, for those remarks, and thank you to State Farm for your generous support of the NALEO's 41st Annual Conference and today's opening breakfast. Let's hear it again from Mr. Whitehair and State Farm. Las Vegas is an incredible city with a vibrant history. It is part of the fabric of the American West, booming with cultural diversity and dedicated public servants. I would like to bring to the stage some of those leaders to welcome us to their state. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause to the Honorable Felicia Ortiz, President of the Nevada State Board of Education, the Honorable Fabian Doñate, Nevada State Senator and Chair of the Nevada Latino Legislative Caucus, and the Honorable Caroline G. Goodman, Mayor of the great city of Las Vegas.
Bienvenidos, NALEO. Welcome to Vegas. We're so excited to have you here. I want to give another shout out to our singer. She was absolutely phenomenal. I don't know about you guys, but I got chills and teary-eyed. So shout out to our students. As the president of the State Board of Education, I consider them all my babies, and so I was really happy and proud to see her up on stage. I want to welcome you all to Vegas. This has been my hometown for 23 years as of a couple days ago. Originally from the original Las Vegas, and I know I've got some folks from my hometown of New Mexico here. I hear you back there, so shout out for you guys that are here representing. I'm super excited for all that we have to offer you this week. It's going to be so much fun. We have lots of great sessions. It's going to be hard to pick which ones to go to, but I hope you'll try and attend as many as possible. And then stay a little longer. Enjoy some of what Vegas has to offer. How many foodies do I have in the room? So lots of great restaurants if you're a shopper. I know I have some fashionistas out here. Lots of great shopping, and the best of all, lots of great entertainment. So please take advantage. I look forward to meeting you. Look forward to seeing you out in the hallways. Have a great session.
Buenos dias, good morning everyone. NALEO, how are we doing? Are we happy to be in Vegas? Yes. Raise your hand if it's your first time in Las Vegas. We got a couple of folks. First time, but not the last time, remember that. Well, as chair, my name is Fabian Doñate, and as chair of the Nevada Latino Legislative Caucus, it's an honor to welcome all of you here to our hometown, Las Vegas, Nevada. You know, as the son of Mexican immigrants and a family of dedicated casino workers, I think it goes without saying how much we appreciate. So let's give a round of applause to our casino workers and our technicians working this event. You know, 4 years ago, the city was completely shut down and many of our family members were laid off, including my own. Today, we still feel the ramifications of the pandemic, but we continue to move forward together. And like many of you, our stories here are of those of hard work, perseverance, and an unwavering commitment to building a better future for our families. So let's talk about November and this upcoming election. I think it's pretty clear that all of us in this room fully understand how this election is pivotal, not just for Nevada, but for our entire nation. There's a reason why many of you are here today, and why every election, every time we come to this moment, there's a reason why all of you are watching Nevada. It's not because we count the ballots slow, trust me, we're working on that, but it's also because Latinos and our voices are represented at the ballot. And let me be clear, the path to the White House and to Congress runs through Nevada. Now more than ever, it's important that we protect our voices, and so throughout this conference, make sure that we engage together, network, and help ensure that our families are protected and that we can take forward our policies to protect our community. And as we always say, enjoy your time, spend as much time as you want at the blackjack tables or at our restaurants, because Lord knows we need the taxpayer funds to keep the state going. So thank you so much for being here.
Wow, are we lucky to have you all here. I'm Carolyn Goodman. I'm born and raised in New York City. Came here 60 years ago. This town was less than 100,000 people, and I'll tell you two parts that made this great city go. The alleged organized crime, the mafia, and guess who else? The best hospitality crew in the entire world, our Latino, Hispanic population. This is your city, and you helped make it. In 1964, it is NA, not available, the population Latino Hispanic count. Today, pushing 45% down here. You have made this community thrive. You're a voice. You're a power if you operate it. And I have some prepared remarks which won't keep you here all day because you don't have your blankets and pillows inside. I want you to know that this time for all of us and the next generations is so critical. The biggest problem we face in the city of Las Vegas, and all the things that you're going to be talking about today, that's what we talk about too. Affordable housing, education, healthcare, safety. But I find the biggest problem today is truth. How do you know what you are being fed is emis, is the truth? It's up to each one of you. And by the way, a day late or two, happy Father's Day. We had the best of it with our family. And I can only assure you, talking to candidates, finding out what the truth is. What are they looking to do? Your voice cannot be silent. You have to be informed, and you have to make sure you vote. So often is, I don't like this candidate or that one, or they're not listening. and you figure, I'm not going to bother voting. You can't. You have to vote. This is such an exciting time to have all of you convened here. And I understand it, your last time in Las Vegas, I too was here, 2015. And a lot has happened since 2015. But I just jotted down a few things. You'll know all about Vegas. We are a place of such excitement, and you know for certain we have the greatest entertainment, shopping, dining, and of course now we've become a sports mecca as well. We have no state income tax for those of you who live somewhere else, no state income tax. Our weather all the time are clear skies, a little hot right now for some of you, I know, but everything's air conditioned, including our gas stations. This is a land of opportunity and ingenuity, and everybody who comes here to live has a dream to be able to do something that they find rewarding. And I can assure you that our Hispanic Latino population from day one has preserved the family unit, and that is critical. For the most part, faith-based, and your children faith-based. Certainly industrious workers all the time, loyal and reliable, and the backbone of this phenomenal growing hotel industry. We know that, in fact, everything that our wonderful families have done of our Hispanic Latino population. We have 4 adopted children, my husband and I can assure you, every member of this beautiful Latino Hispanic population in Las Vegas is part of our heart and our souls, and that's why we know in Las Vegas we are bound for future excitement and success. I hope you enjoy Las Vegas. You're fortunate enough to have a seminar with Councilwoman Olivia Diaz, who represents one of our wards, just re-elected last week with over 50% of the vote, and our wonderful Nancy Bruni, who also happens to be Latino-based, and she is from Ward 6 and did very well. She married herself a federal judge. Sorry to do that, Nancy. Anyway, have a wonderful time. Enjoy this wonderful city. There's so much to do and so much to offer. We're grateful for all that each of you do, and happy 41st convention. Thanks for coming to Vegas.
Thank you for all your remarks and for welcoming us to Las Vegas. To piggyback a little bit on what the mayor was saying, to all the beautiful ladies and all the dapper and handsome men, good morning. This is Las Vegas, baby. I also want to thank NALEO 41st Annual Conference Working Group members for their contributions. The Honorable Felicia Ortiz, President of the Nevada State Board of Education, and Mr. Peter Guzman, President and CEO of the Nevada Latin Chamber of Commerce. Let's hear it for them. It is my honor now to introduce the senior U.S. Senator from Nevada, the Honorable Catherine Cortez Masto. The senator, unfortunately, is not able to join us in person today since the U.S. Senate is currently in session, but was able to share some remarks for all of us.
Hello, this is U.S. Senator Catherine Cortez Masto. I want to welcome you all to NALEO's 41st Annual Conference in my hometown of Las Vegas. You know, my grandfather was a baker from Chihuahua, Mexico, and he came to the United States and settled with my grandmother in Las Vegas to build a better life for our family. That makes me a third-generation Nevadan. And it means I've seen how much our Latino population here has grown and become an integral part of our state's culture. We've contributed so much to this state and this country, and we deserve to be represented by leaders who look like us. It has been my honor to serve alongside other Latino electeds as the first and only Latina in the United States Senate. And it's been my mission to help families across the country achieve the American dream, just like mine did. That's why I've been fighting in the Senate for our Latino families and every Nevadan by creating good-paying union jobs, lowering prescription drug prices, defending our civil rights, and working to fix our broken immigration system. I look forward to our continued work together to empower Latinos and create opportunities for families across our country. Enjoy your conference.
Thank you, U.S. Senator Cortez Masto, for those warm remarks. It is now time to introduce the first plenary of our three-day conference, a look at Nevada's Latino community and political leadership. Please help me welcome Las Vegas City Council members Olivia Diaz and Nancy Bruni, as well as Executive Secretary Treasurer of the Nevada AFL-CIO, the Honorable Susie Martinez, to the stage.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Buenos días. Bienvenidos a mi pueblo natal de Las Vegas. Welcome to my very humble town called Las Vegas. I've been born and raised. I've been blessed to be born and raised in this amazing city that has gifted my family so much opportunity. And that's what I want to celebrate, is that we, through hard work as a comunidad, come here, keep our head down, keep working hard, and we're able to make it. I remember Las Vegas of yesteryear in the 90s. How many of you came when like Treasure Island, Excalibur, Mirage were all new? Okay, so that was the very first boom for the Latino population in the state in Southern Nevada, was because we needed to build those casinos, but then we needed people to work those casinos. And that's where a lot of our gente came to our region and look and search for prosperity like my father. And I'm proud to say that I'm the first graduate from my family that was able to go to UNLV. I'm so happy to be a product of our University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And then after that, I was able to become a teacher and be an elementary school teacher for 17 years. And when I was there, then I decided we need to be doing more for our comunidad and our people. And I made the first run for the state legislature and became one of the first 4 Latinas to make it to the state legislature in 2010. So think about it. From 90s to 2010, we're making incredible gains. We're picking up at least representation at the table, because if you're not at the table, you're on the menu, right? And so it was incredibly important to make sure also that people started to acknowledge that we needed to see our people and that we needed to consider our needs that aren't always what other community groups need. So then in 2019, I was blessed to run for my city council seat and became the first Latina at Las Vegas City Council too. So it's just incredibly humbling to give back to a community that's rallied and support me. And I just kind of wanted to give you a flavor of just the transformation and the pathways. And for example, I saw Peter Guzman here earlier with the Land Chamber of Commerce. If it wasn't for their Latino Youth Leadership Conference, that really empowers a lot of our youth to see themselves in positions of leadership. And so I know that poured into me and motivated me to want to step up and serve our comunidad. So today I have the distinct pleasure of being the moderator of this opening plenary. And the title of it is A Look at Nevada's Latino Community and Political Leadership. And so I have the amazing pleasure of having these two rock stars beside me because Nancy Bruni is also a colleague, una colega, una Latina, another one that got added to the Las Vegas City Council. And then I also had the pleasure of serving with Susie Martinez in the legislature. She's a former assemblywoman, but now she yields an even better title as the Secretary-Treasurer of the AFL-CIO. So let's hear it for both Nancy Bruni, my council member, and Secretary-Treasurer Susie Martinez. So we know as electeds, especially, how important it is to be keeping track of Latinos and our voting patterns and our engagement in the political arena. And I know that I was reviewing some really staggering statistics, but I hope they're really good ones. For example, in Nevada in 2000, we were under 10% of the electorate. But by 2020, we jumped up to be more than 20% of the registered voters in the state. And with that, we need to make sure that our community knows that we need to harness that political power and be a political bloc so that we can elect the leaders that are going to be making the best choices for our folks. So we've also had really unfortunate situations like 2008 housing crisis, which really impacted the Latino community in the foreclosure crisis. A lot of people lost their very first home, part of their American dream through that. But then how do we get resiliency? How do we get resilient and bounce back from that? And then obviously, like Senator Doñate mentioned about both of his parents being laid off through the COVID-19 pandemic. All of these things, I think in certain communities, they didn't feel it as much as our community felt it. And we're still kind of recovering from it. Hence why it's so important to have policymakers really making sure that we're looking out for our community and that we're doing what we need to in these elected seats once we're here. So the Honorable Dr. Nancy Bruni, I mentioned before, is my fellow Las Vegas council member. She's also the research professor at the Desert Research Institute, and she's president of the Luz Development Institute as well. And so, Nancy, I want to turn to you first and foremost, and I want you to kind of launch us into our conversation. And I want you to just tell us more about yourself. How have you gotten here in this position? And just kind of give us a little teaser of what's to come further in the plenary.
So good morning. It's good to be here with everyone. I will say I'm currently on the city council, and just to sort of show the Las Vegas City Council, I think probably Olivia and I represent probably the two most extreme districts in terms of makeup. So Councilman Diaz represents the urban core. It's probably 70% Latino, working class. My area is out in the Northwest, which is the fastest growing area. It is, there are more Republicans and nonpartisans in my area, one of the wealthiest, most educated. I'm a registered Democrat. I ran against 6 Republican men and by the grace of God somehow managed to be here. So we have very different issues. And talking to Latino voters when I was knocking doors, their #1 issues were water and actually gun rights. People wanted to make sure I wasn't going to take away their guns. And we had a lot of classic car collectors in my area. And so again, just as we move through this conference, right, we all represent very different constituents. And so I think thinking about issues will be really important. I think I'm up here because prior to running for office, I ran the state's bipartisan think tank where I actually worked on 2 big research projects. One was looking at what happened to Latinos in Nevada with respect to all of the other Latinos in our Intermountain West states. And then most recently, we looked at how communities of color, including Latinos, were affected by COVID. And so sadly, both times, as Councilman mentioned, Latinos have been disproportionately affected by these big economic shocks. While we have gained in political representation here and in other states in the Intermountain West, we continuously are disproportionately affected by these really big major economic shocks, whether it be the Great Recession or most recently COVID. And that's because in part, we, as the mayor indicated, over 35% of Latinos are represented in our accommodations, food, casino establishments, which are, that industry is subject to these economic shocks. When we had the Great Recession, people stopped traveling, they stopped becoming tourists, they stopped coming here, so we laid off people, and obviously with COVID, we had to, shut down, and so our workers were affected. And so I think even though we've done amazingly with the political representation, we struggle economically, and I think that has a lot to do with our skills gap and our education pathways, which I think we'll talk about today and throughout the course of this conference.
All right, thank you, Councilman Bruni. And now I want the Honorable Susie Martinez, former Assemblywoman but current Secretary Treasurer of the AFL-CIO for the state of Nevada. Tell us a little bit about you and your journey to be here as the very first Latina in your role.
Absolutely. So thank you very much, everybody. Welcome to fabulous Las Vegas. I was actually born and raised here. Like Councilwoman was saying, I was a legislator for 2 terms. In 2019, I'm very, very proud to say that this amazing state, in 2019, we were the first state in the entire country to have the first female majority in our state legislature. Woo! So, yes. Very excited that I was able to be part of that program where we broke that glass ceiling, right? But as I've been on my journey, then this position for Executive Secretary Treasurer came up. I've been a Teamster union member for over 35 years. Yes, Teamsters, yes. And the position came up, and I knew that we needed some diversity, right? It's always been men for many, many years. So I threw my hat in the ring and decided to run for the position, and I was elected. And I'm very happy to say that I'm the first woman to ever hold a position in the state of Nevada. So again, second glass ceiling that's been broke here in the state. So we're doing very well as far as that goes. But my position statewide, I represent the whole state, so I have to constantly travel to northern Nevada and southern Nevada as well. One of the things that I've always known of the importance is, the disparities with wages. I've always known that a person in their union, a woman in her union, will make the same as her counterpart, which, that makes us even. That's why it's so important for many of our people to get these contracts to belong to a union. But because you're working right next to a man doesn't mean he's going to make $5 more an hour for you than you when you guys are doing the exact same job, right? So, I'm very excited to be here. I'm happy to seeing all of you here and that these amazing conversations that we're going to have talking about our gente. So thank you for having me.
All right, we'll get to our first question with you, Councilwoman Bruni. I want you to paint the portrait of Latinos in Nevada for all of our attendees that aren't from our wonderful Silver State. How many are we? What is it looking like for us here as a Latino community in the state of Nevada?
So we're growing. So during the period of 2010 and 2020, our state increased from about 2.7 million residents to 3.1 million residents, and Latinos account for 30% of our population, and as the councilman said, 20% of our voting bloc. Nevada has been for many years the state with the highest percentage of undocumented immigrants as a share of the total population, and the highest percentage of undocumented immigrants as a share of the total workforce. And so speaking of workforce, Nevada is one of 6 states in the country where more than 25% of the workforce is Latino. And we know, as I mentioned, we are overly concentrated in construction and accommodations and food service. And that actually is a difference. If you look at Latinos in Nevada compared to Latinos in other states, you'll find that there are more Latinos in retail or healthcare in other states. But again, here in Nevada, we are concentrated in construction. So we got really hit with the Great Recession, And again, we got hit with the pandemic because a great percentage of our workers are in food, service, and accommodation.
And
So
when I served in the state legislature up north, which is increasingly rural compared to here in Southern Nevada, there were a lot of agricultural workers who tended the fields or the cattle in the rural parts of our state. So are Latinos everywhere in Nevada?
they are, and actually, if you look at the percentage increase in Latinos in Nevada, Clark County has like 80% of the population. So I think over that period, we had like 80% growth in the Latino population here. But in Lyon and Nye counties, they experienced an increase of over 100% of Latinos, which again is, it's great. So we're everywhere. But I will say, how many of you have traveled to rural Nevada? Okay, just a few. Rural Nevada is very different than rural New Mexico or rural Arizona or rural California. Like, no hay nada, right? And so, unfortunately, you don't have the resources for our ELL students and our families in rural Nevada as you do here in Clark County. So it is a challenge, but yes, we do have Latinos everywhere, and we have to think about that as we are creating state policy. I would love to see a rural Latino project in the country because I do think our rural Latinos are often underrepresented and forgotten.
And so we've also seen this kind of explosion of an awakening, let's say, of our community in important roles, not just at the city council level, at the state legislature. We see Catherine Cortez Masto as our first Latina U.S. Senator. But we've also, yes, that's something to be celebrated. I hope she's the first of many more to come from other states. And we also enjoy, though, at a more local level, our Clark County School District Board of Trustees is over half Latina. We also enjoy more representation than we had for a while in the community. But I'm excited for you to share what other areas have we also been able to represent in very crucial positions in academia per se and other important roles.
Well, certainly education, right? So the recent superintendent of Clark County School District, which is the 5th largest school district in the country, we have over 50% of our students are Latino. We had our first Latino superintendent, the biggest community college here, College of Southern Nevada. We just had our first Latino president who unfortunately is stepping down, did amazing things with workforce. We actually up north have our first Latina Washoe County commissioner. And we recently, even though our higher, we have 5 of our 6 institutions of higher education are minority or Hispanic serving institutions. And we had our first Latino regent to the Nevada State System of Higher Education. So
That's
we are
all
making,
worth an applause, yes, I think. Progreso. Let's go over here with Susie. So Susie, in a sector that hasn't had very many Latinos at the helm, we know that the worker bees that the labor unions represent are usually our people, but we haven't seen too many folks like you hold these positions. And can you kind of describe how it has been for you to be the first Latina elected in this role and just navigating that whole transition?
You know, I knew how important this was, you know, for us Latinos to be represented because we've always been so underrepresented. You know, I was up in Northern Nevada when we were doing Catherine Cortez's campaign. We were doing a walk program. And, you know, like I said, my position statewide, so I was up in the north. We were up there with the senator. We were getting her reelected. And I had this young woman come up to me. She was from, I believe, San Francisco, because we're so far up north, some of the California people would come and help us with run our walk program. This young lady comes up to me out of the blue, and she's like, Susie, Susie. And I'm like, she goes, can I please take a picture with you? I'm like, orale, sure. She goes, you know, Susie, she goes, I watch all of the amazing work that you do. I'm always watching you on social media. She goes, and I know by me watching everything that you do and you being a Latina, she goes, I now know that there's a space for me. And you know, that made me really proud because exactly, that's my whole point. If they see somebody like me, and I always tell people my story, you know what, I didn't finish college, but that does not make me less than anybody else. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I can fight just as hard as the most educated person, right? I worked in the casino at the Flamingo over here, next couple of doors down, across from us. For 33 years, I worked at the front desk. So I know the value of what a worker goes through. So every single day, I take those experiences with me to fight and to show people that, you know what, I'm fighting for the worker because that was me, and it's still me. That's my core. My father worked he was from Culinary 226. He worked at the showroom in Caesar's Palace for many, many years. We were able to live a good life because with our union life came insurance, right? And then the fact that, right, good wages, we had our contract, and then eventually you want the goal to be able to retire with dignity. When I was younger, I was learning how to drive, and my mom's friend no manejaba, so she's like, can you take her? I'm 16 years old, I'm all excited, I can drive. Had to take her to the doctor. Her son was sick. And La Señora Yolanda, she was really upset because the bill was $150 to pay for her son. He needed antibiotics, he had a really bad fever. She started crying because she couldn't afford it. And here comes me. My father came from Culinary 226, where if you have 20 children, all 20 of your kids are going to be insured. So that was when I realized what a difference life it is, right? She didn't have insurance for her child. Here, my father had insurance for all 6 of us. And I knew what a difference that makes in a person's life, right? My daughter even too, just recently she realized, she's like, wow, Mom, she's off at college. She's like, I never realized how nice it was for us to have insurance, Mom. I go, yeah, you had it for all those years because you had the Teamster program, because I was a Teamster, right? That came with my job. But I've always known the importance of us having to continue to fight for the people, and that's what I will continue doing moving forward.
And so it's funny that you mentioned that your dad also worked at Caesars, because I feel like I should have stock in that hotel, since my dad, also a former Culinary 226 member, worked there over 35 years as a casino porter.
Oh, wow.
And I know everything that you described about pension benefits, insurance, protections when Dad wanted to go vacation during the summertime because that's when we were off of school, and sometimes supervisors not wanting to grant that time off at that time, he would have to sometimes lean in and get someone to step up and say, hey, based on seniority and based on his request, you must approve that vacation.
Absolutely.
So you just kind of took the second part of my question about why it's so important for these labor movements and our people, how involved they are, because I also remember picketing with my dad back in the day, like the Frontier and different casinos didn't want to collectively bargain, and so out we went to make sure that those wages would be, we were fighting for everyone's livelihood, I guess is the main point.
Absolutely, and we don't just fight for unions, right? Everybody benefits, the community benefits, because I often used to say, my job at the Flamingo, I would get my little tips. On the weekend, I'd save them up. Mija and I, we'd go get sushi, we'd go get ice cream, we'd go to the little shop, get our nails done. That stimulates the economy. So the whole community benefits off of that, right? I just got to tell you guys a real quick story. When I was at the legislature, one of my things that I always took pride on was that I had an open door policy. I didn't care what organization you were from, whether I liked you or not, we were going to sit down and have a conversation. So I had this organization come in. We were trying to lift the minimum wage. And they were Latinos, which is really horrible for me to say this. But they came in and they were telling me that we should not raise the minimum wage, that we need to educate our people, that we need to not let them stand in line for cheese, and that we need to, pretty much insulting me, because I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah, we don't want you to raise the minimum wage because it's not a good thing, right? And this young lady and this young man were sitting there. Finally, after me hearing them talk their trash, I'm like, look, lady, I'm not educated. I did not finish college. Yes, I went partially to college, but I didn't finish. Circumstances, whatever they may be, I didn't finish. But you know what's kind of funny? You're a little educated, but you know what? You're standing here lobbying me because I am in the position of power, not you, right? And the young man that was sitting with her, I said to him, I said, you know what, young man? I said, you should be ashamed of yourself, because do you know how much money Latinas make? White person will make the most, African American will make the second, Latinas, we are at the bottom, people. We are at the bottom. I had to explain this to him. I said, young man, I guarantee you that you have a tía, una hermana, or even a mother that you should be fighting for. You shouldn't be here working against those ladies. You should be embarrassed. So as soon as we had that conversation, it was kind of funny. My attaché, he's like, the doors come flying open. They walk out. They're pissed. My attaché is just standing at the door looking like, oh my God, Susie, I could hear you yelling. I said, because that is embarrassing when Latinos go against Latinos. And that's one thing that I would like to say here. We need to stay unified, people, because we have a lot of people, yes, absolutely.
Vamos a mantenernos unidos.
We have so many people always fighting against us. Another thing that I had a problem with, and I know we were going to talk a little bit of politics, and I don't want to insult anybody, but my father worked in the showroom at Caesar's Palace. They even, when he was a teenager, they did an article because he was cleaning some tables of what a hardworking man he was. He provided for my mother, my sisters, all of us. And when I had heard Trump say that, Mexicans are rapists, they're this and they're that, and I was like, I took offense to that. I felt like you are speaking about my father. How dare you? My father was a hardworking man. He was a union man. He took care of his family. How dare you? So I remember when I finally first ran for office and I had my signs out there in the neighborhood, like I just saw Olivia's, and it said Susan Martinez and the big old giant Martinez. Can I tell you, I was like so proud. I wish my dad would have been alive so he could see that. Because I'm like, I take pride in my Martinez. I take pride that I'm Mexican. I love my food. I love our music. I love everything that Mexicans represent. And I tell my daughter this. I said, Mija, I said, we're so lucky. We are so lucky that we can listen to the music, we can eat the food, and we also live in this amazing country called the United States. But anyways,
well
like
stated.
I said, just please, you guys, let's stay unified, take care of each other, and the forces that want to fight against us, let's fight back.
Very well stated. I do want to also say that I think that as we think about the growth of the Latino population in the state of Nevada, in the beginning it was highly Mexicanas that were making their way to this state. But the second ethnic group represented in the Latinos in Nevada, I think, is the Salvadorians. They're number 2. So a nuestros hermanos y hermanas salvadoreños, I think, as Susie stated, doesn't matter where we come as Latinos. I think we do need to ensure that we stick together, that we're advocating for each other. Doesn't matter if you're coming from Venezuela or Cuba or La República Dominicana or Ecuador or Chile or, it's just all of us want the same things. We want prosperity for our families. We love our families. And I think that's a really awesome value that we bring to this country is love of our familias. And we should not lose that. So to end our plenary this morning, Councilmember Bruni, I want you to kind of share some final thoughts about challenges that we need to kind of keep at the top of mind and things that we need to be charting, I guess, or not losing sight of as a community.
So there are a couple. I just wanted to add for folks who are here who are not from Nevada. Nevada is one of the states with the highest unionization rates, and that really is because of our amazing Culinary 226 and other unions. So they really do affect elections and the political environment here. And
not just challenges, but opportunities too. We want to end on a good note.
So I think for me, as I look, again, we have achieved amazing political representation. And I think, again, thinking about how every time there's an economic recession, we're the ones that have the 20% unemployment rate because we're in that vulnerable position. And so I think the challenge for us, the opportunity is to right size or have an alignment around economic opportunity. And for me, that starts with education. I know there are a lot of panels this week on AI. I know that not all of the jobs here require a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree. There are a lot of, I think we've got like 50% of the potential job openings don't require a 4-year degree. But there are jobs, when you think about AI and the new economy, where you do need a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree. And Nevada, the Latinos in Nevada actually have a lower college going rate and lower college attainment rate than Latinos in our other Intermountain West states. So there are huge gaps here, but also opportunities. And just to give you another data point, recently UNR up north graduated a class of engineers. There were 53 candidates who graduated with a master's in engineering and 388 undergrads with engineering degrees. Less than 10% of those graduates were Latino. So this, speaking of the family, right, this starts with families thinking about, career pathways and supporting their kids and making our families aware of the different career pathways in AI or engineering. And so I think it's an opportunity to bring our families into the educational pathways and design. I know we have a session tomorrow on how to, involve families in educational success of parents, but I think that is something where we need to focus again in order to align the economic opportunity and the achievement with what we're seeing in the political space.
And Susie, your final thoughts. I know I haven't mentioned that we also have another brother in the union spaces, Vince Saavedra, who is also the very first Latino president of the Building Trades Union. That's another big deal. But what do you see in the labor movement in our future here as a state of Nevada? Are we going to continue to see more brothers and sisters rising to the ranks of leadership roles?
I do believe that, but then one of the things that I also feel is we need to support each other. I have one of my union sisters, Puerto Riqueña. She had just been elected as president of her local, and she was telling me what a horrible time they were having. They didn't give her the passwords to the office. They didn't give her the passwords to the computer. They didn't give her the keys, and she was really frustrated. She was telling me, you know what, Susie? I quit. And I was like, para nada, para nada. I said, you don't think it hasn't been rough on me? I said, let me tell you, this has always been a world where we've always had was hombres, right? I go, but you know what? We don't let that get in our way. I go, you stand your ground. I go, you learn the job. I said, and better yet, I said, we are going to protect each other. I said, we'll talk about my story later, because right now this isn't about me. This is about you. I said, you are not going to stop. You are not going to quit. I said, in anything that I can help you with, I said, I'm going to be there for you. And I did. You know, I helped her out, and to this day, she's 2 years into her presidency as the leadership of her local. And you know, I always tell her, I go, we need to help Latinos out. You know, we can't be fighting amongst each other, guys. We have to help each other out. So I'm really proud to say that she's there. I have her back, as I will have many other people's as well.
Amazing last remarks from both of the panelists. Thank you, Councilman Bruni. Thank you, Secretary Treasurer Martinez, for being here this morning. And I think we should all kind of leave with that, because as leaders in our respective community, it gets lonely to be a leader of color at the top, advocating for issues that sometimes you're the lone voice, always raising. But what are we doing for Latinos? But have we thought about this community group and the impact or this disproportionality of X? And I want you to know that we need to continue that plight. We need to continue in la lucha. And we should never forget how hard it has taken us to get here. But we shouldn't be the ones, just the last ones in these seats. We need to make sure that we're paving the way for more of our kids to see themselves in positions and sometimes and someday be the president of the U.S. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias. Arriba y adelante.
Gracias. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Oh, let me get my water.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Hudson County, New Jersey Clerk and NALEO President, the Honorable E. Junior Maldonado.
I'm back. How blessed are we to have three powerful, charismatic, intelligent, articulate women share the morning with us. Let's hear it for the speakers. Thank you to our panelists for this morning's plenary discussion focusing on Nevada's Latino community and political leadership. Before we break, I want to remind you all to participate in this year's service project, where you can help us pack 600 school supplies kits and 600 heat mitigation kits for students. The service project is this year will benefit just one project. My apologies. I also want to remind you all to join our fabulous breakout session, which begins at 10:30 a.m. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning. Enjoy your time here in Las Vegas and the NALEO 41st Annual Conference. Thank you.
Thank you for